Welcome to Solo Sailing with Trev White, and today I'm going to talk about Tonga and sailing to Tonga. So I'm currently in the process of working out where the next passage I'm going to do is, and Tonga's been on my mind. I really enjoyed sailing to Tonga. Well, I didn't enjoy sailing to Tonga, I enjoyed Tonga. Not all of it, but some of it. So is it Tonga, is it Vanuatu, Samoa? I honestly don't know where I'm going at the moment. I'm just trying to work it out. But I was reflecting on Tonga, so I thought I'd discuss the benefits of Tonga, or maybe the merits of visiting there. And yeah, it's a fascinating place. It's in my mind a very, very much Pacific Island nation. The people are wonderful, warm, friendly people. The environment is crystal clear, beautiful water. It's warm most of the time, and it's quite a relaxed place. I felt Tonga, I should have stayed longer in Tonga when I was sailing there. At the time I was going to Fiji, and I went via Tonga because I needed to extend my time in Fiji. So my girlfriend was arriving in Fiji, and the thought process was to spend a month in Tonga and then go to Fiji and spend 4 months in Fiji with her, as opposed to spending a month there before she arrived, which would have cut into my visa time or made it more difficult to get a new expanded visa. So basically went to Tonga and sailed from Whangarei in New Zealand to Nuka'alofa in Tonga. And I had some crew for the journey, so I had a French couple, Justine and Pierre, and an English girl called Esther. And the French couple had a little bit of sailing experience. Justine's dad owned a boat, so she'd done some sailing in France. Pierre had done a 3-week trip with a friend, and Esther had done no sailing. So she was sort of jumping in, boots and all, decided to try sailing and see if it was for her. 1,200 nautical mile trip is a little ballsy, I thought, but hey, each to their own. And in hindsight, it would have been probably nice to have sailed from Whangarei up to Apua and then clear out Apua, gave everybody a bit of a shakedown. I'm not sure it would have changed their levels of seasickness much, but I felt that leaving Whangarei was a better departure point to get to Tonga. You've got to sail northeast, and you start to sail against trades the closer you get to Tonga. So my thought was to make as much easting as south as I could, and that's essentially what I did. So we cleared New Zealand at Marsden Cove. There's a customs clearance agent there. It's a fairly painless process. Well, before that we actually stocked up in the town, stocked up with food and provisions in the town basin, which is right in the middle of Whangarei. It's a great little spot. It's a marina. It's been there for years and years. It's well frequented by cruisers who are hiding from the cyclone season. I think most of them know it. I myself was coming from the South Island when I first went there, and I had no idea. I didn't realise Whangarei was so large or was so well catered to yachties. I just went to find someone to get a sail repaired before I left. And someone said I should stay at the town basin, and that's what I did. I anchored right up, or not anchored, I moored right up there, and it was 150 metres from Pack and Save, which was a large New Zealand supermarket chain. And it was brilliant. I just walked the groceries across the road and to the marina, loaded them straight on the boat. I don't think it's ever been so easy. And a couple of trolleys later, we had all the food we needed for the next couple of months. And I did that with the help of Justine and Pierre, who had joined me on the yacht. And then the morning we were heading to Marsden Cove, Esther came up from Auckland. She was wrapping up some work. And so we left the town basin, sailed down to Marsden Cove, spent a night on the pick, just in the port of Whangarei, to try and sort of get everybody used to a bit of swell. And we had a terrible night, like it blew its arse off. Dragged anchor at one stage until we could reset it. So I think it gave everybody a bit of a taste of what sailing was really like at times. And by the morning, the storm had blown itself out. And then we proceeded into Marsden Cove, picked up a berth for the night, and cleared customs the next morning. Clearing customs in Marsden Cove was really easy. The guy there was super helpful, friendly. It was a very painless process. Jumped on the board at about 10, cleared the pen, and we're on our way. Because it had been a bit stormy, the seas were still a little rough. So once we cleared, we had 25 knots from the east, and we wanted to go in an easterly sort of direction. So ended up sailing southeast for an hour or more until we could clear the headland, Bream Headland, and then tack and more of a northerly course. But that really played havoc with my crew because it was quite lumpy. Everybody was seasick, and it wasn't a great start to the journey. So I ended up trying to ease off the course, conducted more or put more reefs in, and tried to ease the motion of the boat. It didn't really help. Once people are seasick, they're seasick. So, and I did warn people, like take your meds before we go in the ocean. But everybody thinks they've got a stronger stomach than they have. And even myself, I'd been in Whangarei for I suppose 3 weeks. Even I felt a little bit nauseous in the first day. It was quite rolling, and I typically don't get seasick. But we pushed off, and as over the next few days it eased off, and it was a 10-day journey approximately to Nuka'alofa. We encountered one big gale, and we knew that was coming. I plotted on satellite images, and we slowed down. So slowed down, got a little bit of it, probably 30 knots. But one of our mates was in a boat in front of us, and they really got quite badly flogged. Tore their sail bag and a few other things. But we just got some shit weather. Once we slowed down for that, we then pushed on, and we had really good sailing. For the rest of the trip to Nuka'olofa. We got up there on, I think it was a Saturday night, and I tried to get in on a Monday morning, but there's no point just drifting around. So we decided to go in on the Sunday, but the wind died Saturday night, so we ended up drifting down Ewer Island all the way to the eastern shipping channel at Nuka'olofa. And got there at 6 in the morning. That was sort of my ambition, was to just drift slowly down the coast, get to the shipping channel at first light so I could see what I was doing going in there. I find a lot of Pacific nations, the shipping channels aren't very well marked or lit, and I feel this is probably the case with Nuka'alofa. There are markers, channel markers, but they're inside the reef, and they're steel poles or they're timber beams, and that might be from the recent earthquake and tidal wave, which has damaged a lot of infrastructure. But personally, I wouldn't go in there at night, and I don't trust the electronic charts that much. And the reef comes, it's quite a aggressive reef all the way to the shipping channel. It's a sailing between two sections of reef. There's a couple of dog legs, so I didn't want to risk my boat or my crew, so we just hung around and went in the morning, and it was a breeze. It was good visibility. The sun was in the right direction. I could see the reef clearly. The water visibility was quite good, and we just motored in. We still had very little wind, maybe 5 knots of breeze, and we ended up getting into Big Mama's resort. Couldn't quite work out where the small boat harbour was, where customs was, so went in there initially because I thought that was a good place to sort of find my bearings. And when we went in there, we met another boat that we'd met in Marsden Cove, and we just anchored next to them, asked them what was going on, and they said there's no customs until Monday morning. So we anchored there, went for a swim, had a shower, and got some sleep. It was nice just to have a break, and the weather was fantastic. The water was beautiful. Big Mama's is a nice spot to just stop. It's very easy to find as you come around that eastern channel. There's probably always going to be a boat or two anchored there, and there is a couple of moorings, but you'll find that most of those moorings are taken, and if you're lucky enough to get one, great. I didn't get into Big Mama's, so we hadn't cleared customs, so I didn't feel it appropriate to go and have a beer in a restaurant. I don't like to push my luck when I'm doing the whole customs thing. So in the morning, we headed into the customs dock, which was in the small boat harbour. And as you're coming up to that, you'll see there's a large ship wharf, and then there's a radio tower or a telecom tower, and the small boat entrance is just next to that. So you go straight ahead. There's a concrete wharf right in front of the entrance, and it's like a smaller boat harbour, and that's where the customs wharf is. And if you visit the website, Travel White Sailing, I have a page of Tonga, and I put some detailed satellite images with pins on where the customs wharf is, where the customs building is, ATM. Because once we'd moored there, we then notified customs that we were there, and we waited 2 hours, still got nothing. Rang them a couple of times, and decided we'd go down and have a chat to customs, and it took 40 minutes to find customs. No signs on any of the buildings. We got sent from one building to the next building to the next building, and either people were fucking us around, or they just didn't know, and were just trying to be polite and just, it could be that building. But it was very frustrating, and by the time we got there, I was a bit pissed. But we eventually found customs, and again, there's a pin on the website for that. Went in there, spent another 30, 40 minutes in there, got driven back, and 3, relatively polite man giants came on the boat. So Tongan guys are big dudes. They are all built like rugby players. That's probably why they're good at rugby. They didn't want to go inside the boat. It was hot. I'm not even sure they could have fitted in the hatch. Some of these guys are massive, massive dudes. So they just sat in the cockpit. We did all the paperwork there. 30 minutes later, had one of the health guys go in the boat, and he had a good look around. He just took some honey. He was pretty relaxed about everything. We got rid of all of our fruit and veg on the way up, and it was a fairly painless process. There was a small fee involved, and we were asked to pay that when we got our cruising permit. So to cruise in Tonga, you need a cruising permit, and that takes about 2 days to process, or maybe it's just another reason to keep you there for 2 days and spend some money. But we were going to provision, and we also arrived at the time of the King's birthday, which was fortunate for us. So it was good to go and see it, and so we hung around for the King's birthday, and we anchored in the small boat harbour. So we could have anchored Big Mamas, but it's a fairly long dinghy ride, and the small boat harbour, there's enough room for about 5 yachts to anchor in there, and you tie up to a rock wall. Again, it's on the website, the directions for that, and some imagery. But we just anchored. It was in mud, pretty good holding. We put out a stern anchor or a stern line to the rock wall that kept us in good position. It was comfortable, but it's noisy. It's noisy. It's a fishing harbour, so there's boats coming and going all hours of the night, and they're noisy. So it was convenient to do provisioning, and it was convenient to go to the pub. It was convenient for the King's birthday, but I wouldn't want to hang around there for more than a couple of days. And the other problem I had, we'd come into the harbour with low water tanks, so I should have been filling up at Big Mamas, where the water was beautiful and clean, and just running the water maker, but I was sleeping. And I thought I'd get water at the customs dock, but there was no water available. And I couldn't find someone to help me. I think that was really just a result of the King's birthday, and people were just busy trying to get ready for the King's birthday. So I ended up buying fresh water, which worked out quite expensive. And then once I left, I made more water. But it's just something, if you are going in there, I would try and make your water before you go. Or if you're going in there, you might need to get a water truck to come down. Or talk to the fishermen and try and find a potable water tap. But I couldn't find one at the time. No, there's just no one around who could help. But provisioning, Nuka'alofa's got everything you need. You've got to go into the CBD for most of the groceries. There's a couple of small, what would you call them, small supermarkets just near the marina, but they don't have a lot. And most of the good supermarkets are in the CBD, which is a 30-minute walk, and it's a walk to your west. It's along the foreshore and then into town. It's not a very big town, but it's adequate, and we found everything we needed. But the food in Nuka'alofa, it's all Chinese supermarkets and Chinese stores. There are no other brand of store but Chinese. And I found it was all basic and essential. You're going to find what you need to keep alive, but you're not going to find anything brand names. So if you want coffee and tea and your favourite chocolate, take all that with you, because you won't get it in Nuka'alofa. You might find some decent coffee, but it'll be Tongan coffee. And yeah, we bought some of that, was okay. You can buy booze, there's Tongan booze available, it's okay. And like all these places, you can find what you want, but you know, if you're hunting it, then it's going to be more expensive. So we got food, we bought fuel, we bought it from the service station, just threw the jerry cans in a taxi, and we also got gas from the service station. I've got an Australian gas bottle, which was suitable for New Zealand, and they could refill it in Tonga as well. So that was okay. What else is there? There's a little pub down at the near the dock, and that served good food and beer, so that was pretty handy. And overall, you know, Tongan people are super friendly, so it's an easy place to be. The other thing was fresh fruit and veg. So there is fresh fruit and veg available in Nuka'alofa. Less so at the supermarkets, more on street vendors. So there's lots of green leafy vegetables. There's bok choy, there's sweet potato, there's pineapples, and a range of other Pacific Island type foods, breadfruit and things like that. But it's quite a limited range. Like you get taro and things that islanders typically eat, Westerners don't eat as much. So I tended to buy bok choy and sweet potato, pineapples. I think we might have even got bananas, but most of the other stuff I didn't really know how to cook or prepare, and you've got limited facilities on a yacht, so stuck with what I knew. We got plenty of canned meat and frozen meat from the supermarket. There is no fresh meat in Tonga that I could establish. And that was us provisioned, so we didn't eat a lot. We'd been at sea for 10 days, so it wasn't so bad. And then we went to the King's birthday celebration, and every man, woman and child in Tonga is at that celebration. Every official government vehicle, every business, and a lot of personal vehicles were in the parade, all decorated. I thought it was fantastic. It was a great day. It went for several hours, and everybody's having a good time. There's lots of jumping castles and food vendors, and it's quite a big day in Tonga. So if you're there for the King's birthday, hang around. It's the Tongans love it. They all seem to be having a really good day, and I thought it was worth staying for. Most of the crew, in fact, all the crew felt it was worth staying there for, and so we saw that. I think we spent one more day in Nuka'alofa after that. Cleared customs the afternoon before we wanted to depart. We were going to depart early in the morning, and that was okay with customs. They had no problem with clearing the afternoon before. Picked up our cruising permit. I can't recall the price. It wasn't very expensive though. And then we made our way to the Hapaya group and Whangarei. So I'll do another episode on that. And I think that's probably where I enjoyed the most in Tonga. Is very much remote Pacific Island living. There's a few resorts in there. There's a main island, which is sort of your government and most of the people. But there's lots of little islands in that area, and also encountered lots of whales. Did some snorkeling and diving, and I felt that was the place I would go back to, and that's what's in my mind at the moment, is going back to central Tonga, Hapaya group. It was it's a different sort of place. It's got that dry island feel about it. People are very genuine. They're living a quite simple life. There's not a lot of industry there. There's a little bit of tourism there. People running whale watching or swimming with whales, and it's just it's a relaxed vibe. Nice people living a simple life, and that's what I like about sailing in the Pacific, is just hanging with people who are not too stressed about the world, and they're not at a fast pace. They're just out fishing and living a simple island life, maybe running a bit of tourism. So that's on my mind. Do I go back or do I go somewhere different? But anyway, that's my experience of sailing from New Zealand to Tonga. I would recommend Tonga. I thought it was a great place. A lot of people go to the North Island, a lot of the boats that come across in the Ark Rally, they all go into the northern group and the Vale group, and it gets incredibly busy up there. Like it is a very different part of Tonga. It's green and lush and more volcanic, big limestone cliffs, but there's a lot of people up there. If you get the Ark Rallies come in, there might be 50 boats coming at a time. They don't tend to come into the middle group or the southern group as much, so you get more of that isolated island experience, and I think I prefer that. When 50 boats come in as part of the Ark Rally, it's a handful, and it's not my type of sailing. I don't like sailing as a group. It's like people who drive around as a group of caravans. I don't get it. I think sailing is about exploring places as much as you can by yourself, and just experiencing what it is to be there. When 50 boats turn up, well, you're not there. You've just brought a party with you. So I think it's also difficult for the resources in places when large groups of yachts turn up. It impacts on the resources. It brings money in. So there's the yin and yang of that whole argument. But I have my views on things. So that's my trip to Tonga, and I'll talk a bit more about the middle group and the Vavau group in another episode. But thanks for joining me, and safe sailing. I'll see you out there.